Hello and welcome everyone back to another CAD and Crypto video. I hope you guys are doing well today. We're back with another banger PulseChain video giving you guys the latest and greatest of crypto news. And in this episode, we're going to cover the latest major update coming to PulseChain and the latest tweets from Richard Heart hinting at the global marketing. Because of course, today is the big day that everyone's been anticipating. The number that's everyone throwing around, the 238, the 23rd of August. What does that entail? What does that cover? What does that give us? How does that make PulseChain even more bullish? We're going to cover that in this video. So again, thank you very much for tuning in. Before we jump into it, we're going to say a big shout out to the highlighted comments and of course to the YouTube members who are choosing to support my small channel, telling me to continue doing what I do. Again, thank you. That's just one way that you can support me. And of course, you guys just watching, liking, sharing, commenting down below does help boost this video in the YouTube algorithm, because I've been seeing a lot of people reaching out to me who need help with onboarding on PulseChain. So that is actually a really great sign that we're getting higher and higher daily onboards into PulseChain. So that's really great to see. So to the highlighted comments here from David Murphy says, another great video. Thanks for your knowledge and keeping us up to date in what's going on. So yeah, absolutely my pleasure. Again, guys, this is what you subscribed here for at the end of the day. What do you know that the other 99% of people, crypto traders, investors do not know? And that's about PulseChain. A lot of people, right, who have that herd behavior, have that retail investor mindset. They're just waiting until the barriers for entry become easier, lowered. Right? They was like, oh no, I don't want to go on PulseChain. I quickly typed to Richard Heart. The first thing that came up, oh yeah, he's a scam. He's a scammer. He's still wanted by Interpol. Yada yada. Trouble with the SEC. Even though, by the way, we beat the SEC. They didn't dismiss us. Richard Heart beat the SEC. And they'd be like, nah, I'm just going to wait until it's on a centralized exchange. I need to wait until my favorite YouTuber who has 5 million subscribers to talk about PulseChain. It's crazy, guys. Okay. So yeah, welcome to PulseChain, guys. It's all about information asymmetry. What separates the winners from the losers is literally information. Forget about luck, okay? Because as Richard Heart says, it's not about trying to time the market. We're going to talk about why that could have been a moment of shooting yourself in the foot. Okay, to do with leverage, to do with managing expectations. Eliminate time as a factor for yourself. Own your tokens, have spot positions. Don't borrow money that's not yours. More on that in a second. So again, thank you very much for the comment. And here from the Ricky says, thank you for this, man. I was wondering why all the hype and why my boy Sami is PDAI nuts, or why is he talking about PDAI? And again, I've been making a lot of videos about PDAI, like we're talking way back from 2023. So there's a lot of lore, which I do want to summarize in one video, in one article. I am working on that, but keep watching my videos. I'll slowly as well keep drop feeding some updates about PDAI, which we do have in this video as well. And finally, but not least, a comment from Ariel Tang says, exactly, never a dull day in PulseChain. So guys, jumping into the latest crypto movements, we can see Bitcoin is up 2.8%. Ethereum is up effectively 10%. But a quick fun fact, if you guys didn't know, in the last 24 hours, Ethereum has broken its all-time high since its last bull run. This is really great. And another really great sign is that the rate of growth of Ethereum is clearly surpassing Bitcoin's rate of growth. If we go to CoinMarketCap just to see the latest prices, Bitcoin is at 115,000. Ethereum is at 4.7K, clearly pushing the ETH-BTC ratio. We can see that it is at 0.04. Okay, and clearly, by the way, if you have been watching the charts, you can tell that the last few days and actually a week and a half, we've been having a corrective phase, which a lot of people were starting to lose hope. Guys, a lot of people are starting to say, oh, PDAI needs to get pumped. What's going on? Even though we're pretty nice and stable, okay, consolidating around the half-cent mark. And look at this, all of a sudden, Ethereum does a major green candle, a 15% in one day, breaking its all-time high, ladies and gentlemen. So before we jump into more PulseChain news, I want to quickly take you guys through some of the L's in crypto and why this is a lesson for you to believe in what you hold, because that simplifies the formula for you to just hold what you believe in. And if you believe in what you hold, it becomes easier to hold it during the terrible times. And let me tell you a fun fact, the bags that feel terrible to hold are usually the ones that have the biggest gains to make out of. Guys, if you want something that you've never had, such as making your first 100K, becoming a millionaire, you have to be prepared to do something that you've never done. Okay? And I'm telling you, in crypto, it is a simple formula, yet majority of people fail to do this. And that is to hold indefinitely until you reach euphoria, because that's when bear markets start. That's where bull ones die, in euphoria. So here's an example. We have a tweet from Ansem, a big crypto influencer on Twitter with over 750k followers. Okay, saying, and this is by the way earlier this year, yes, this is during when Ethereum was very, very bearish. We can even show you guys here looking at its monthly returns, when usually, yes, in a bull one, it's supposed to have a bullish, quarter, as you can see from the previous altcoin season and the bull runs, especially in 2016, 17, and even in 20 and 21. This was supposed to be a green quarter for Ethereum, but it wasn't. So if it wasn't the case that the first quarter is not bullish for Ethereum, what does that mean? Are you just going to sell? You're just going to give up on Ethereum? That means you're not a believer. And again, that goes back to the main things. Just buy what you believe in. It makes it much simpler. You can sleep at night. You don't have to look at your portfolio every single day. You don't have to check the price charts on a weekend. Guys, so going back to this, Ansem here says Ethereum will never trade above $4,000 as long as I live on the planet Earth. It's crazy. When we're closer to $5,000, and we're just beginning, actually, because Bitcoin dominance is still at 58%. It's a long way down to 45% to 40%. Guys, ETH/BTC is still at 0.04. It's a long way for it to go to 0.08 or even 0.1, which, by the way, it means that if Bitcoin goes to 200K, as an effect, Ethereum will be at $20,000. Do you believe, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Ethereum, the testnet for PulseChain. So going back to the L's, looking at another L here from a tweet from Look On Chain, says, after holding Ethereum for over 900 days, a whale finally capitulated, selling all 10,000 Ethereum, which is worth 15.7 today, or at the time of this tweet. The whale originally bought 10,000 Ethereum at an average price of 1.295 on October 4th and November 14th of 2022. He didn't sell when Ethereum broke through 4,000, and again, this is talking about in the previous cycle, but today he exited it with a 2.75 million profit, okay, which is not bad, because any profit is good profit. But look at this, the profit at the peak, which, by the way, this is where Ethereum price is now. We're at the all-time high, as I already showed you guys here. Look at this. Okay, we're going to quickly zoom out to show you guys the previous cycle. Look at this. The previous cycle topped at 4.9 effectively. We are there now. Okay, so going back here, the profit at the peak was 27.6 million. And this is a whale that gave up earlier this year, April 8th. Another lesson why copy trading isn't the best formula. Another lesson that people with big upfront capital doesn't inherently give them the ability to trade and become an investor. Guys, this is why I tell you, I'm teaching you guys here watching my videos, think like a whale until you become a whale. Manifest it. If I believe PDAI is going to go to $1, I'm actually halfway there already. In my eyes, PDAI is, it's halfway there, so it's worth 50 cents to me. It doesn't make sense for me to take any profits under that. But anyways, that's not the focus of the point. Taking us to the third example that we have here from the German government selling all their 50,000 of their Bitcoins at $54,000, which, by the way, Bitcoin is at like 115K right now. They could have made a 2.8 billion in profit. Guys, 2.8 billion in profit, but they sold almost at the worst price, because if they knew anything about the global macroeconomics, if they knew anything about the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin, which, by the way, I have a quick chart, because I remember mentioning this in the previous video. I talked about the crypto macro summer cycle, okay, how Bitcoin moves in 4-year cycles. And again, this is to do with like the seasons. That's how they split it up. And 2026 will fall on the winter season. So that year, 2026, I firmly believe that the 12-month candle will end up in the red. Just do a quick exercise. I'm going to tell you guys right now. Go to the Bitcoin price chart, change that to 12-month candles, and you will see exactly the pattern I'm talking about. 3 green years followed by the 4th red year. Okay? Very simple. So if they knew anything about this, they would have known that there's a lot more room for growth before we see the next correction. is crazy. They don't know anything about the moving average, the laws of the moving average, the unwritten laws that I told you guys, with the 200 weekly moving average being kind of the support line during a bear market. And if you are above the 50 weekly moving average, that is a sign that we're still in the bull market. It's crazy. They don't know nothing. This is a whole ass government, ladies and gentlemen. Crazy. But anyways, by the way, looking at Ethereum, it's looking really strong. It's beautiful because do remember, we are leveraging Ethereum by the full definition of that. Why? Is because if we look at the PulseChain sacrifice, which is holding 166,000 Ethereum in spot positions, not long positions like the MicroStrategy with their Bitcoin, which by the way, big shout out to them, of course, good for them. But us here, we own every single Ethereum. Time is not a factor. Look at where we are today, up 24.93% from our DCA price. We are up 156 million, guys. So this is what I mean, that PulseChain is a leverage of Ethereum's success. Just imagine, by the way, if Ethereum goes to 6,000, this will be worth 1 billion. And that could be where Richard Hart starts rotating, injecting some of this into PulseChain. Very, very interesting things, ladies and gentlemen. So looking at the Core 7, real quick here before we now start jumping into the latest news that you guys need to know. This is the price of the Core 7 ecosystem. Everything's nice and up and green. Hex is at above a cent. Pulse and PulseX are doing really great with around a 2x for Pulse to go back to sacrifice rate. INC is just under $2. Beautiful. The liquid gold and PDAI, of course, holding really strong at 0.6 cents. PWBTC just under 1,000. Remember, the all-time high for PWBTC is around 2.6K. The all-time high for PDAI was around 3.4 cents. If Ethereum could do it and break its all-time high, why can't we? I'm so excited for the future. So speaking about those two PRC20 narratives, which by the way, I'll make a separate video talking about them. But if you go to the PulseX website, it states that the PRC20 narrative is the digital gold rush. And that's in the official site of the native DEX of PulseChain, which of course Richard Hart has funded. So you tell me, don't you think Richard Hart knows about PDAI, knows about PWBTC? Okay, there is a wallet in PWBTC, and I spoke about this in the article, link in the description, that is holding around 21% plus of the supply. And that is known to be Richard Hart's AMM wallet. Ladies and gentlemen, it holds, it's effectively like an OA. It holds 21% of the supply. PWBTC has 154,000 PWBTC, and that is it. Unlike the 21 million that actual Bitcoin has. Now, I just want you guys to envision this. Imagine when, not if, when PulseChain integrates a real Bitcoin bridge to PWBTC bridge. Liberty Swap could be working on this. That will just open the floodgates, making it easier for Bitcoin whales to bridge in their Bitcoin into PWBTC. Now we're going to be like, oh, actually, I can now take that PWBTC, stake it in PulseX V1 farms and make yield from this. Oh, I wasn't able to do this in Bitcoin unless I pay thousands of dollars running inefficient equipment that has heat, noise pollution, where I'm giving majority of my profits to electric companies. Well, welcome to PulseChain. We give you a more efficient solution. You don't even need to have 24/7 working software. It's just you providing liquidity for people to be able to buy and sell the token. You're providing the money in the ATM, and then you get your share of the trading fees. Simple. So yeah, moving on to more crypto news, we have a tweet from Crypto currently. It says, Bitcoin false breakdown confirmed, and this can be said exactly to Ethereum, because if you guys didn't know, if you look at the chart, it has just broken out of a 9-day correction, which by the way, a correction is healthy because it usually leads to continuation of the general trend. And of course, we are in a bull market, you guys already know, onwards and upwards. The next Fibonacci level extension for Ethereum is at the 7,000 price tag. We shall see. Very exciting. And here he says next step would be revisiting the range highs. After that, price discovery again. Calm and patient spot holders win. I spoke about having spot positions. That is just so crazy. Big shout out to Crypto currently, man. Big shout out to him. And here again from George News. So if you guys caught, I also spoke about George News in my previous video. And here he says, what happens when Solana bridges to PulseChain? Giving us a hint on what is the major updates I'm going to talk about in this video. So now moving on to other things. The big announcement from Liberty Swap, because today is the 238, the big day. Here they say, in a few minutes, we will open our Solana bridge to PulseChain. We need to share this common understanding. Bridging from Solana to an EVM blockchain like PulseChain is not an easy path for new users. So big respect for them for integrating this, developing this. And here they continue to say Solana. Let's quickly scroll up here. They say, Solana wallets and EVM, again stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine, wallets cannot safely share the same private key in most real-world use cases. Technically possible, but not recommended, because again, here just explains that both of them have different elliptic curves that they're using to generate their public and private key pair. And here they continue to say, EVM compatible chains like Ethereum, PulseChain, BNB, Arbitrum, Base, etc. And by the way, this is why I feel like I'm so glad that we are a fork of Ethereum and not a fork of a non-EVM compatible, because I do think if a chain is EVM compatible, that does give it more longevity. Okay, and a quick fun fact: next cycle is going to be Solana's third cycle curse. That a lot of people labeled Ethereum that, oh yeah, because it's going through its third cycle curse, it's not performing as much. Well, look at us now. Okay. And here they continue to say, these are incompatible by default. The same private key cannot be used natively across both. Some advanced tools like key pair converters or smart wallets might simulate cross compatibility, but they rely on a non-standard, etc., etc. And here they say, a safer approach, use separate private keys and seed phrases for Solana and EVM chains, or use a multi-chain wallet provider like Ledger. That's a cold wallet. Rabi, again, that's a decent wallet as well, and etc. I've actually been using the OKX wallet. It is also a multi-chain wallet that you can use. I'm going to make a separate video on that, just getting more used to the UI and stuff. Is actually pretty decent. I like how they've been supporting PulseChain. That's really sick on that end as well. Yeah, moving on to some Richard Heart news. He did make a tweet acknowledging this. Says apparently a bridge from Solana to PulseChain was just opened, and then he links LibertySwap.finance. Looks like they have BSC, Arbitrum, Ethereum to all PulseChain as well. And in this screenshot clearly shows that you can go from a stablecoin USDC from Solana straight to USDC on PulseChain by paying only 0.3%. So every $100 you're paying 30 cents. For every $1,000 you're only paying $3 to get your money from one chain to another. No KYC in under 2-3 minutes. Easy peasy. Wow. And what's crazy that in this screenshot, look at this, look at the top right, USDC to PDAI. Guys, hold on. Is he trying to hint something? Right. And then to other news here, Richard Hart says again in another tweet, says, I've done more for Ethereum than you have. Tag someone who also did good for Ethereum. Congrats Ethereum on the new all-time highs. It's been 1,382 days. Again, that's effectively since its last all-time high from the last cycle. Is crazy. So yeah, today is a huge milestone for Ethereum. What if I told you guys the bull run has started today? So if you guys are watching this, if you're new to PulseChain, you're still early, okay? Because I'm telling you, think about the altcoin season happens in 3 flow charts. Okay, you have the influx of money going to Bitcoin. So we need Bitcoin to start the show, which started in 2024, right? Having its ETF approved, yada, 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 right? With BlackRock, etc. And then obviously also Ethereum at its ETF. And then you have the Bitcoin halving event that takes a whole year. And then usually the unwritten rule is that, okay, waiting a whole post Bitcoin halving year, which now we're starting to expect, and we have started seeing this. Ethereum starts to get more influx of money. So influx of money starts with Bitcoin, then influx of money starts going more to Ethereum, and then what happens after that is altcoins starts to get more influx of money. Another great metric to look at this is looking at the ratios. So looking at the others, total crypto market, which right now is at 306 billion. Okay, I am anticipating this to reach around 900 or even 1 trillion at the top of this cycle. Very exciting stuff. And other things is looking at the Bitcoin dominance, as I already been talking about, and also other things like the ETH BTC ratio, the others BTC ratio, and a bunch of other things. Even like the others dominance is also a really great one. Looking at ratios, guys, not a lot of people do this. So do something not a lot of people are doing. Like when you do technical analysis, stop thinking about what is the most known technical analysis, and let me start using that. Okay, because if you know that majority of people in crypto, in trading, are losing money, then why are you using the most common technical analysis tools? Really master them, yes, that's great, but also master when you should use them and apply them. Because sometimes all I need to do is just to draw a couple support and resistance levels and maybe a trend line, and that is it. That's all I need to know. Guys, there's also other avenues of doing sentimental analysis, technical analysis. Okay, it's not just about TA. But at the same time, TA is really good because if you understand the emotions, you can really master and beat the composite man in his own game. Again, that's for another video. But going back to what Richard Hart is saying here, free and open source software is the future of finance. Peer-to-peer digital immutable truth. Trust in math, not men. The PulseChain train is coming, and again showing us this funny GIF here. And then again, he made another tweet, and this is to do with the global marketing. Very exciting. Let's see what he has to say here. It goes, the non-profit needs to print the mailing labels now. Post your ideas after the addresses and the barcode and postage. There's extremely little room for text and images. Now's your chance to play with the AI image generators. Here's a rough outline, and he gives some more dimensions, and he goes, so you have you have to imagine the 4x6 placed on the 7.5 inch x 6 inch bubble envelope. And he goes, I saw a pretty PulseChain gradient color border around the entire label and a bit thick to show off the full color advantage. And again, he's just talking more, and then he even talks here, I saw a cool giant yellow and black warning symbol and text that says electronic LCD device enclosed. You've probably got spaces for 3 or 4 sentences for marketing the non-profit and stuff. I'm sure the non-profit appreciates your input. Let's see your inspirational images, and even better if you can hack it, label layouts. So if you scroll down here, you can see that he does give us the kind of dimensions and where you should kind of leave an empty space for the addressing area and the stamp, etc. And yeah, some people have actually been given some little design ideas. I really like this. Look at this, electronic LCD device enclosed. Again, this is a clear hint that this is going to be an electronic device, i.e. a hardware wallet, guys. It's going to be preloaded with tokens. And I think it's quite clear it's going to have PRCs, because that's the cheapest to give away to people. Right? They'll be like, oh, what's this? Could be PDAI. Do you think he loaded them with PDAI? We shall see, guys. And remember, these electronic devices are already mapped to addresses, possibly to people who have disposable income that have absolutely no idea what is crypto, perhaps, or what is PulseChain. So this is one way to get our foot in the door, guys. We're expanding beyond our circle. Because at the end of the day, I'm thankfully making videos on YouTube, which is a global algorithm. It doesn't just show it to PulseChain. Yes, you guys have subscribed, so majority of my viewers will be from the people who already know about PulseChain. But at the same time, I have been seeing more and more people who are new getting exposed to my channel, and that's a great sign. That's really a great sign. So I'm doing my part of the community, but continuously giving you guys the latest updates and hopefully demystifying the world of crypto, demystifying the world of DeFi. That's my main purpose here. And I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy sharing the knowledge. So I hope you guys have been enjoying this journey with me that I've started, at the end of 2023. It's been such a rewarding experience. Honestly, I'm not just focused on the end goal. I'm really enjoying the journey, guys. The friends that have made, the knowledge that I've incurred so far, thousands of hours, every single second I've spent making a video about PulseChain. Through the bearish times, through the bullish times, it was all worth it. And I can't wait to spend even more years in PulseChain, guys. I want to be part of PulseChain's legacy story. This is part of the history in the making. You can either be part of it, or you can watch from the sidelines. And you can contribute, literally by being a believer. Guys, we are a community. That's the main part of any tech. You might say, oh yeah, we have utility, these projects have utility, No. All that matters, the common denominator is what? Users, guys. Users. And it's been evident that we are one of the strongest crypto communities out there by ratio as well. We survived a minus 99%. Look at Hex. Look at where we are now. Everything started. Hex ran so we could walk. Guys, Hex stood up so we could sit down, if that's the right way to use the analogy. So moving on here. Okay, a quick little update from Decentralized Me here says on the 238, we get a quick confirmation from the big man, again referring to Richard Hart, that today isn't about mailing the devices. Of course, I already kind of knew this, and again, I managed my expectations, so now I'm not really surprised that, oh, we didn't peg, PDAI didn't peg, what's going on? You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of people in the comments are kind of worried, like in Twitter comments especially. So guys, please control your expectations. I don't want you guys to be overexposed to PDAI as well, because that can mess with your brain, like it's saying, oh, you know, we're not pegging. What should I do? Should I sell my PDAI, go into this because this is pumping already? You know, don't follow green candles. Don't fall for the shiny new object syndrome. Be careful, okay? Try to get new risk capital and diversify. Diversify, diversify, diversify. It keeps it simple. Have a healthy relationship with your portfolio, guys, okay? Don't compare as well, because yes, comparison is a thief of joy. And you know, when you compare yourself to this whale has, let's say, 50 million PDAI, how am I going to compete with him? Don't think about it that way, okay? You are in your own race. That guy could have been in his third crypto cycle, okay? Like, that's not how it works. So yeah, anyways, moving on here, he says, nor is it about the Solana bridge opening, as neither have caused the God candles indicated by Liberty Swap. What he does do is again show his approval for Liberty Swap. Solana has been added. This is for exit liquidity, not the force behind the God candle. I think he's here hinting at the sacrifice funds. And then he says, he nods to the fact that Arbitrum has also been added, the same forked L2, our new protocol for the peg of PDAI resides. And I think here he's hinting at Compound. And I'm going to talk more about this because that's to do with these two little tabs here, PDAI Alpha Secret. I'll keep that in the next video. Huge, big theories. And of course, this is to do with Compound, with the whole CDAI loop. And this also does do with the OA holdings, with how Hex can be used, even though it's still staked. Can we still encapsulate this and back collateralize PDAI? A lot of questions. Some of them are actually answered. So more on this on another video. Make sure to keep your notification bells on. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, click that button, like, comment down below. What do you think of PulseChain? Okay, why did you join and become a believer in PulseChain? And when was your first experience in PulseChain? Was it through my videos? I want to hear all about that. So yeah, here he ends PDAI to $1. And one of the last, we're going to skip this one. One of the last tweets I want to talk about is from 9 Iron Capital tweets. This is again, by the way, 2 weeks ago. He goes, we are now in the 1 cent waiting room. PDAI to $1. And you know what? Let's also cover this. If you guys didn't know, Atropa Dev did go live, I think 1 week ago. And he titled the live stream Clearing Stage 1. And then, yeah, so yeah, we have Sir Nathan here. It says, Maria started another live stream and named it Clearing Stage 1. We about to do this or what? And then someone gives a screenshot from the chat logs. Here it says, Maria saying the general target for Stage 2 is $1 across all 3 P stables. So we're clearing Stage 1. That means we're close to entering Stage 2. What are the 3 P stables? PDAI, PSDC, PSDT. Again, more about this in the next PDAI deep dive video. I hope you guys really enjoy this, guys. Remember, big shout out to the man above. Trust in the process, trust in God, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.